Welcome to the Music Combine, week 3 of the lovely
State of the Union.
State of the Union. Here we are, week 3 of, what is this week's date? It would be for the date of September 27th. It is a Sunday. A lot to talk about today, based around music and stuff. Craig and I have been combing the webs, the interwebs, to bring value to you guys. And, you know, it's just one of those lazy Sundays, but we got a lot of stuff kind of going on.
It's good to keep bringing this out every week to kind of go over how imperative it is to kind of talk about this week. I think right now is the releasing of music and how people are kind of trying to find ways to be able to engage with audiences outside of being able to play.
Sure.
Right?
And kind of that brings us to our first article today, which is, and this comes from, I think, Billboard. No, RollingStone.com. Prince Estate to release live stream in 1987 New Year's Eve show with Miles Davis. This is supposedly a bootleg show that was done in 1987. For some reason, I remember this or whatever. But anyway, this past Thursday, that Paisley Park released this concert on their YouTube page. You know, for years, Prince wouldn't let certain things out because he felt like it was either not up to his standards or it wasn't ready to be put out there or he wanted to revise it. You know, you hear so many stories about him. I've known people close to me over the years who've worked for him. One in mind was a early mentor of mine named Roy Bennett, who was Prince's lighting and stage designer and production designer during the Purple Rain tour.
Wow, that's cool.
And, you know, we would hear the stories about when they would rehearse back in the day with tours, they literally would basically, you know, you would pack into an arena and you would practice setting it up, unloading, setting it up every day so that you were basically working like a football team. What Prince would do is he would act like he was on tour during those pre-production weeks. So they would get a bus driver that drive him around the city, wherever they were at, around the highways, and he would sleep on the bus and he would analyze the performances every day off VHS.
That's like a fucking football team.
That's like a fucking football team.
Yeah.
But that's how he always operated. So it kind of, you know, it's kind of an interesting way to go because it kind of brings me, you know, it kind of brings us to a lot of things that we got going on this week on the Combine. But one thing I want to touch in on also is 50th year, was it the 50th year of Black Sabbath, first album being released?
Yep.
I mean,
Paranoid?
Yeah, Paranoid was released 50 years ago. I believe it was this week or the week before, but kind of want to touch on this. You know, we talk about evergreen content on the podcast a lot. We talk about having stuff that lasts. Sabbath, obviously, pretty much, in my opinion, and people can disagree with this, the founders of heavy metal.
I agree.
It's in its most truest form. Them and Zeppelin, pretty much, you could say, hey, that's where it came from.
They down-tuned their first string, and that was like the big
thing.
He did that with Tony Iommi's finger. He was in a plant and he was working, and he cut it off or like he melted it, something like that.
Close.
And then
he has all 4 gone, dude.
He has all 4. All right, so yeah, he has like
these big fingertips,
these thimbles on his fingers, and he said it was easier to play power chords, so he tuned the turn. But that turned the music very, very
dark. That flattened fifth kind of feel, which is a lot of the basis for stoner metal these days.
Sure.
But you listen to Sabbath and you listen to what they've given us as a band. I think that Sabbath's, audience is huge. I don't think they always get the credit that they deserve, though.
I guess if they're a little underrated in the classic rock era, are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I believe they are, yes.
They should be, absolutely. It's just like, even for me, like, I don't know about you, but growing up, like, I got Paranoid when I was in 8th grade, and I listened to the whole thing all the way through. And the one thing I noticed the differences of, like, the recording sonically was, like, very old school versus, like, what I was listening to Ozzy, 20 years later, right? And like, I'm like, wow, this is a big difference. But then I just started listening to the songs, and the songs are very well written, and the drumming is like very old school, like kind of like
do that very swinging, like on Fairies Wear Boots.
There's a swing
like that. Yeah, there's a swing to it.
They're still relevant, and should get it's 50 years, man, and this album, this band's still,
I think it's great. I'm a huge Rollins Band fan. As you can see, the poster in the back there, signed by Henry Rollins.
Very cool.
From the Nice Tour, and he's quoted in this article as saying, where is it here? Sabbath. Okay, his singer Henry Rollins. I'm just going to call from the article. This is from NPR.com.
Yeah.
Singer Henry Rollins is a self-proclaimed Black Sabbath advocate. He fronted the band Black Flag for a while, and he's now a writer and music presenter for NPR member station KCRW. He has a show out here on Sunday nights on KCRW, and if you ever get a chance, go on Twitter and look at his playlist because he plays some pretty remarkable fucking shit. Mm-hmm. Rollins says Sabbath's first release was more like a sketch pad. On their second album, they're musicians who found their focus. I think it's really, there's volumes of measure to be said in that one little sentence. Rollins is a music band lover. He loves Ted Nugent. He loves Sabbath, but yet fronted the most brutal LA punk band ever, Black Flag. I'm a huge fan of them as well. Mm-hmm. You look at that, and I think he's really, truly right. And to your point of Ozzy over Black Sabbath or whatever, when Ozzy left, I think that, over time they really were forced to be reckoned with, and they created a movement. Mm-hmm. That kind of leads us into our next thing from How to Win as a Musician from Damian Keys.
Damian Keys is the man in the fact that he really brings...
You sent this over to me this morning, and I was like, this is fucking impressive.
Yeah, he's always coming out with, like, he's covering what we're covering, and, like, it's good to get his perspective, so it's kind of, a variation what we're going to give you on top of what we're already talking about. And what Damian Keys brings to the table right now is something that many bands and artists probably should be looking into. Now, based on what's going on right now in with not being able to play live, and, he basically tells us, you got to still put out content no matter what. You got to stock away everything that you're coming out to. And when this thing is done and people are all coming back, it's going to be a saturated market. It's going to be hard to make any type of noise. So he's saying, be smart now, do everything you can, come up with creative ways to be able to engage your audience that keeps them engaged. So when you do come out with the real, back to the traditional way, you're going to hit so much harder because you were still staying up with the time.
Yeah, because everyone's had time to hibernate. I really like this little quote he came up with here. Listen to this real quick.
So people can say, I can see what you do. I can see that it's good. So you can't say...
Actually, let me take this back real quick. It's a few seconds. I didn't cue it back. So give me 1 second. Right about here at 3:10 in this one, How to Win to Be as a Musician for 2021.
Say, of course we're a band. Of course we play live. No, that doesn't work. You have to show them not just that you play live, but you have to show them what it looks like, what it feels like, what the crowd looks like. So people can say, I can see what you do. I can see that it's good. So you can't say, use your imagination, which means you have to show the world that you are ready and not just say, we'll come back when everybody else comes back. And now is the time to start networking. Now is the time to start putting these messages out and on social media saying, when this starts back, we are ready. We are born to go and do this, and this is our live show, and these are our crowds, and this is us live. Because that way, people looking around will see you, and you will be at the front of the queue. And number three.
So, to me, that's the most powerful thing.
Yep.
His point in this, and you guys can watch it again, it's to win as a musician in 2021 on Damian Keys' page. A lot of people are taking hiatus, and he makes that point in this vlog. Mm-hmm. I haven't. You haven't, Greg. If anything, you've been more driven. Mm-hmm. Guests like ours, like Mark Morales, who's just on the show this week, hasn't. Machine hasn't. Oh, which, by the way, just to let you get, we'll talk about it at the end of the show, but we have some really exciting guests coming up at the end of October and in November. We've already started doing those episodes.
Yeah.
But kind of to fall into this and say, hey, things are getting better, or things are here to stay, or however you want to look at it. But people have been hibernating.
Yep.
If you get fat and don't exercise, doesn't mean you could run a mile before that time, before you start hibernating, doesn't mean you can run the mile afterwards.
Right. You have to get all
that back.
Yeah.
If you got a little COVID-19 on you, and I mean the COVID-19 pounds, now's the time to start shedding them. He makes a point in this vlog too that this is the last quarter before us heading into 2021.
Yep.
We are in very trying times in a lot of ways, socially, economically, and politically. And I don't want to get into that conversation, but the thing is,
spiritually too. It's a
spiritually. I think the world's kind of in a paradigmical upheaval, if you will. And I think that you have the opportunity right now to capture hearts and minds on a grand scale.
Yeah. And
if you're not doing that, that's a really big deal. Like, you're not, you
service to yourself too, because it's like, if you're not doing this now, and you weren't doing it that much before you were doing it, but you're doing it more of the traditional sense. This is the time to be more cutting edge and in front of it, and stay in front of it by continuing to put out content that's going to be able to keep people engaged in your brand. And then you have a buildup. And he says this too, and what we can go back to the video is have a calendar. Have a calendar of what is going on. Don't just fucking shoot from the hip. Plan your shit out. Very good, piece of information to convey to people, because you can't just make shit up and think it's going to be fine. Like, that's half-fasting it. Are you half-fasting when you're writing your music? No. Well, I hope not. But if you're not half-fasting writing your music, why are you half-fasting putting it out half-fast?
Yeah.
So he's saying, plan that shit out. So, when that saturation comes back and everybody's doing that and releasing their music because everybody could play live again, you're going to be able to get on the forefront of that because you were doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
Everybody else was hibernating.
I think also too, the off season we've been in for the past 6 months per se. I've talking to a few managers this week of concerns of us not coming back till 2022.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you're off till 2022.
Correct.
This is the time to kind of go into that heavy training phase, or that battle plan phase, to say, hey,
said Prince, like what he did.
Yeah, what he would do. The reason his shit was so great is he let his life be music. It was all encompassing to him. It wasn't just a passing phase of like, maybe I have plan B to go work at Home Depot if this doesn't work out. That's what he did.
There was no plan B.
There was no fucking plan B.
Plan B is plan A.
Plan A. And, it's really a situation where, do you have, sorry, for lack of a better term, the balls to do this? Which kind of leads me to my next thing. We've kind of talked about what Damian is saying, and this will kind of wrap up the episode today. This might be a little shorter one, guys. And sorry for the production quality this week. I've been off-site mixing a live stream, actually, for High Holy Days for a temple up in Calabasas. And High Holy Days. And so I brought all my gear out there yesterday for sound check, because the broadcast is tonight and tomorrow. And I ended up leaving all my stuff there, not thinking, I have a podcast to record today. So talk about planning.
It will still sound good enough, though.
It'll still sound good, though. I'll get it together. Trust me. I swear. Get your shit together. But I want to talk about this week's guest, the lovely, the talented Lindsay Medians. She comes to us from Veeps. She's going to talk about what Veeps does. And if you guys don't know what Veeps is, it's a paywall website that was originally going to do low cost to the artist fan experiences. And when COVID kicked off, they had kind of a technology that was being used that could be used for streaming for the same type of experiences. And everybody in the first round, when they went to go shop it, said, "Oh no, we don't need that. We have concerts." Well, boom, here comes here comes the pandemic of the century, right? And so what they did was they flipped their business model, and it's a very interesting story. And she's extremely knowledgeable and awesome human being, and has become a really good friend of the show since we did this interview. And what she does is pretty amazing and pretty knowledgeable, and she literally gives pearls of wisdom the whole time during her interview.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you guys to see this on Friday. It's pretty great.
It's enlightening for artists that never had a thought, right? Your thought is like, oh, well, I'm never going to be able to do this because everybody else is doing it. Like, this gives you, the guy, the underdog, the fighting chance, and no excuse, really, to be sitting. Nothing.
Yeah, and to your point with that, they're really for the musician, and she'll explain what kind of how they do it with artists and stuff like that. I don't want to give away because I want you guys to listen to it.
Are we allowed to say who backs the company?
Yeah, it's Joel and Benji Madden's company.
Right. So Joel and Benji Madden from Good Charlotte
started this company with another partner of theirs. I can't remember his name, but she mentions it in the interview.
Yeah. So interesting. So that's cool. So they're cool. They took their platform, and then when this happened, they pivoted towards really being able to continue to give these bands, especially so we take the big bands, the top bands, they could still have work for their like the roadie roundtable. Like, just take those roadies. They could probably hire them because they're going to venues and they're streaming at venues like the Forum or the Beacon Theater, just for an example, hypothetical.
Well, you look at this Friday, what's coming, and shout out to our friend Corey Brennan. Corey Taylor is going to basically do a live global stream from the Forum here in Los Angeles, and really it kind of goes to the fact that we're adapting now. Corey Taylor is much bigger than most bands and can command that.
I'm glad you're saying this other part to it.
Yeah, I'm glad you can command that. Right. Not everybody can do it. And Veeps, and to go back to the Veeps thing, granted, they're doing it through Live Nation. Veeps is an independent company. Mm-hmm. Veeps is able to give that opportunity that Corey Taylor has on a large scale to smaller artists.
Right.
So this is not just for signed artists. And even though they have Brandy Carlisle on their platform, and they have, I think it's One Dudes, One Directions on there.
Don't know.
We'll look it up and put it in the show notes. But they have a lot of people, on there that are pretty famous, and they're getting more. And I know they're working on more partnerships. So. They are much a force that is coming up around the bend, and if you're not paying attention, they're gonna take your they're gonna eat your lunch and steal your milk money.
Yep,
that's my real opinion on it.
So what are you guys waiting for out there? If you just
there's all these avenues, and the thing is the other thing I want to say too is in close. To everybody who's been listening, Roadie Roundtable was one of our most successful episodes in the shortest period of time. Mm-hmm. We're getting more fans out there on the Combine, and it's really, it humbles me too, is it's super impressive. Obviously, we're connecting with you guys in some sort of granular way, which was always our goal to begin with when we started this. Mm-hmm. Greg and I always had the idea of doing a company that was really of service to artists. We've started with the podcast. We have more stuff coming in the months to come. We're not going to talk about right now. But we're working on some pretty big things that are really going to benefit artists on a global scale. So, with that said, we've really, we're really humbled by it. So this week's Lindsay Medina, which is it's going to be an amazing episode.
It really, It's going to be big to the, to people like us out there that really, not knowing where to turn. Like this is the kind of woman who's fronting a company that is like innovative in what's going on and beyond. Because not only will live streaming be something that's needed now, it's something that's going to be added into the ecosystem of your business model and your brand for growing yourself in a way that you wouldn't really be able to do in the traditional avenues.
Sure.
that's the thing we're going to take from this week that I think you're going to find very enlightening.
Yeah, and she is not only she the other thing is too is that she's a kind, good person. Mm-hmm. And I hate to have to preface that fact with it, but the thing is that you don't find a lot of people like her in our industry who are so super helpful in that position. And
feel that when she
just the warmth, the energy from her is amazing. So
absolutely.
really excited to have her.
Yep. I'm excited for you guys to hear us. So, thank you for all the support and again, all your suggestions. If any, you guys want something to cover, we'll do it.
And also, you can find us on YouTube, Anchor, obviously. Mainly, we've been spinning hot on Apple Podcasts over Spotify. Spotify's following has gotten less, and we've been really on Apple Podcasts a lot.
It's the Music Combine now is on these other sites, but you can go to www.themusiccombine.com to access all those different.
And also stay up to date with us. Send us your email. We want to hear from you guys in a major way.
Subscribe, and we'll keep you up to date on everything that's coming out before it even comes out.
Because we're here to service you guys. And then anything else, Greg, for this week?
No, just really thank you, and we're excited. We're excited about what's to come. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Righteous. Well, my friend, it's been another fun week.
Yep. Look forward to this week.
Yep, definitely, bro.
Take care.
See ya.